You would think a YouTube film critic with over 1 million subscribers would know better than to openly defend degenerate behavior. Sadly, you'd be wrong. This guy's been in hot water over the past year or so, and for good reasons. Many have pointed out that a surprising amount of his commentary went far beyond the movies themselves, repeatedly defending what you would describe as zoophilia.
You can't say like, oh, sucking a dog's dick is wrong, but like eating an animal isn't. You can't say like, oh.
He even had multiple public meltdowns when other YouTubers called him out, only for his deranged hour-long response to become content gold for other creators. This is the disturbing story of Adam Johnston, better known online as Your Movie Sucks, or YMS, a film critic and an alleged closet zoophile who spent more than a decade defending some of the internet's most unhinged takes. A brief disclaimer before we open the case files. Some of the details documented in this investigation are deeply repulsive. The facts involve explicit discussions of animal abuse. This content is strictly not suitable for all audiences. Adam launched his YouTube channel in 2010, right in the middle of YouTube's golden age. This was a simpler time before scripted influencer drama and nonsensical brain rot content dominated the platform, an era where Nyan Cat, Nigia, and Gangnam Style captured the internet's attention and defined meme culture. Your average YouTube content was less polished but more authentic. And this was true for Adam's videos as well. He worked with rough edits and bad audio quality, yet viewers liked his straightforward movie recaps. He spoke in a casual, blunt tone and delivered his thoughts with honesty and humor.
Hoisted up by some soldiers with some really bad cliche redneck attempt at a dramatic soundtrack. I have nothing against patriotism, but I felt like this movie was kind of beating me over the head with it.
This approachable style helped his channel grow rapidly. For the next 3 years, Adam stayed consistent. He focused on entertaining movie recaps and occasional gameplay streams that let him connect directly with his expanding audience. That comfortable rhythm changed in July 2015. During a live stream of the horror game Silent Hill 2, a darker side of Adam emerged. He openly identified himself as a supporter of consensual zoophilia. Speaking to his viewers, Adam first clarified that he did not encourage the behavior, had never engaged in it, and had no plans to do so.
I'm not a support of animal rape. I'm a supporter of consensual zoophilia. I don't encourage it. I'm not going to convince someone to try it.
Only to then argue that some people live with powerful lifelong urges and shouldn't be punished for acting on them. He also claimed that such interactions would not harm the animals any more than non-sexual contact would.
I recognize that people exist that will live their whole lives with an urge to do something like that, and meanwhile, while every other person on the planet gets to fulfill their eternal psychological, emotionally/physically driven urges, these other people on the planet that are attracted to the wrong thing somehow aren't able to do that, despite not harming animals in any way that they wouldn't be harmed through any other non-sexual activity.
And as some viewers questioned him about the ethics of what he was advocating, Adam doubled down with a deeply flawed argument about consent.
To suggest that there's no such thing as consensual human/animal is to be the most naive person on the planet.
Basically, he claimed that consent could be inferred from just an animal's behavioral cues. He suggested that if the interaction felt pleasurable to the animal, it was probably acceptable. To illustrate his point, he gave the example of a dog humping a person's leg, providing all the evidence required that consent was given. Rightfully, some commentators quickly pointed out the fundamental error in his reasoning. What Adam presented was a clear projection of human desires onto animals. In reality, dogs hump legs or objects for reasons unrelated to consent, such as a display of dominance, a response to overstimulation, or form of displacement behavior when anxious or excited. These actions do not equate to informed agreement. The exchange revealed a troubling side of Adam, of him using his growing internet influence to normalize a harmful and widely condemned viewpoint of someone trying to rationalize degeneracy under the guise of open-minded discussion. At the end of his long rant while live streaming, Adam stood firmly by his statements. He declared that he would not be crucified for them and predicted that in 20 years, people would look back and recognize he had been on the right side of history.
But I stand by these statements. If I'm crucified for these statements, then 20 years from now, people will look back at this and be like, wow, I can't believe all these people were that stupid to crucify him for those statements.
Now, at the time, this didn't create a sustained backlash like the one that emerged a decade later. Much of the internet simply moved on. The platform hosted plenty of eccentric personalities sharing terrible ideas, and many assumed Adam was stirring controversy deliberately to boost views and engagement, a common tactic among influencers seeking attention from outrage.
The number one thing was when you said that you just should stop bathing.
Do you want to know what's funny about that?
Sure.
It worked.
But that assumption would later be proven incorrect. He wasn't fishing for more views by courting controversy. He was serious about his views on zoophilia. 8 months after the Silent Hill 2 stream, Adam once again brought up the topic during a Mass Effect 2 broadcast. This time he spoke for more than 40 minutes, showing that his original 18-minute monologue had not been a one-off moment. He repeated and expanded the same core arguments in defense of zoophilia.
I don't know, usually, I don't know. But do all these like non-consensual things, and then like you support that, but somebody sucking an animal's, or like just touching a horse, that's wrong. It's wrong if you touch it and enjoy it.
Adam claimed that only vegans could genuinely oppose zoophilia on moral grounds.
Vegans are pretty much the only people that are actually at liberty to say that having animals is wrong.
He drew false equivalencies, noting that animals never chose to be farm animals, never consented to living in cages or human environments, and therefore, in comparison, zoophilia shouldn't be singled out or objected to when these other practices are so widespread. He went on to call his critics stupid, hypocritical, and unaware of their own biases.
If you touch it for the sake of the farming meat industry, that's stupid. It's very hypocritical. People are f***ing stupid. People are so unaware.
He then turned to the idea of animal consent itself. He argued that animals should be able to consent to interactions with humans, just as deaf or mute people can find ways to communicate consent.
Cues to each other in order to have consensual intercourse. You can have a deaf and mute person and still, like, just because you can't verbally communicate, you can still give consent.
To support his point, he suggested that if animals were truly incapable of any consent, then even routine petting would have to be viewed as non-consensual and abusive. This, he said, contradicted how most pet owners interpret their animal's enjoyment.
You're saying that by petting a dog, if a dog comes up to you and really, like, wants to be pet, if a cat, like, goes around your leg and very clearly wants attention, if you're saying animals can't give consent, then you're also saying that when you pet an animal that is clearly enjoying it, that they very well could be screaming in pain internally and just are so stupid that they don't try to run away or don't try to give any signals that they don't want something.
The stream drew criticism from some disappointed regulars, and some called him out for his regular use of straw man arguments. Yet the backlash remained limited. The next day, Adam quickly tried to contain the damage. He dismissed the lengthy discussion as mere drunken ramblings and shared a link to a Reddit comment that he said captured his true position. If I had known my drunken ramblings on a casual Sunday stream would get this much attention, I would have formulated my arguments more professionally. It's clear that most of the people acting upset at this aren't really concerned about trying to understand my perspective. This image is pretty much everything that needs to be said about this. Most viewers accepted the explanation without reading the comment closely. Those who did check found that the post simply restated the same arguments he had just made on stream. Adam would continue to refine and repeat his position in later discussions. He argued that laws specifically targeting bestiality were discriminatory. In his view, they punished thought crimes rooted in societal disgust rather than actual harm. He pointed out that existing animal cruelty laws already addressed physical harm. If a act caused no injury, he claimed, then no victim existed.
That you want them to be in jail for a thought crime, right? You want them to be in jail because of what was happening in their brain, not because of the welfare of the animal.
Under this flawed logic, banning such acts relied purely on moral revulsion instead of animal protection. He stretched the argument further by comparing the prohibition of bestiality to historical laws against homosexuality. Just as society had eventually accepted the LGBT community, Adam insisted history would one day vindicate his stance on zoophilia as well.
There's gonna be people coming out saying, oh, it has nothing to do with you being a furry, you're crazy. It has nothing to do with any of the queer shit. That's half the fucking video.
As pointed out by some commentators, this reasoning contains several clear weaknesses. Adam asserted there was no evidence that animals experience trauma from such encounters, unlike victims of pedophilia. In reality, animals subjected to sexual abuse often display noticeable behavioral changes. These can include sudden aggression, avoidance of humans, heightened fear, and other signs of distress. Additionally, incompatible anatomy between humans and animals can lead to physical injuries, even if minor. Beyond the instinctive disgust most people feel toward the topic, Adam's own framework reveals deeper flaws. Consent, as commonly understood, requires more than basic behavioral cues. It depends on a meaningful balance of power and mental capacity to understand what's happening. The vast gap in intelligence, awareness, and autonomy between humans and animals makes genuine informed consent fundamentally impossible in these situations. By overlooking this imbalance, Adam's arguments failed to address the ethical core of the issue. These repeated defenses gradually eroded the patience of even some longtime viewers. What had started as occasional rants evolved into a consistent, unapologetic viewpoint that Adam returned to again and again. In fact, Adam's arguments grew increasingly unhinged as time passed. He began comparing sexual acts with animals to common agricultural practices, such as artificial insemination and slaughter for food.
And that when an animal gets pregnant for the purpose of like breeding, that they did not consent to that, and you're literally forcing an entire pregnancy on an animal. And it's like,
He claimed these everyday farming methods caused far more harm than the acts he defended, drawing yet another set of false equivalencies that many commentators found both illogical and morally gross. Then in February 2016, Adam dropped his most messed up take yet on ethics. While streaming the puzzle game The Witness, a viewer asked a straightforward question: should animated child pornography be legal? Adam answered without hesitation that it should. He argued that no real person is harmed in the creation of drawings, so no victim exists. Therefore, no one should face jail time for it, no matter how disturbing others find the content.
Should animated child be legal? Yes, it should be. You shouldn't be able to go to jail for drawing something even if it's like disgusting and people don't agree with it.
Yeah, that's like...
Like, you can just not look at it if you don't like it.
Now, this kind of response lays bare the core of his worldview. If no direct physical victim could be identified in the moment, then the act or its depiction should be permissible.
Actual baby's been harmed by drawing one. It's like, what? Are you, like, mental? I know that, like, people get uncomfortable, but, like,
Yeah, exactly. You
there's
shouldn't
no logic.
jail people for being uncomfortable.
But that ignores the indirect effects of such instances, influencing people's minds towards normalizing criminal behavior. Anyway, with little immediate backlash, Adam grew bolder. By 2018, he defended such positions more openly. A major controversy erupted when he publicly supported a furry artist who had created artwork featuring underage anthropomorphic characters. Many in the furry community expressed deep disappointment and disgust that someone they once respected had produced such material. Adam, however, took to Twitter to defend the artist, framing the criticism as unjustified censorship or moral panic. By this point in our timeline, there's no shortage of terrible positions he defended in his Twitter crusade, but one noticeable instance was when he replied to another YouTuber with a meme about consent. The post caught the attention of several users who had followed his earlier statements. They began relitigating his opinions on animal consent and zoophilia. Though the incident remained relatively small on its own, Adam was apparently enraged enough to respond in force. He uploaded a 1-hour video to his secondary channel titled YMS Real Opinion on Bestiality. In the description, he linked back to his earlier Reddit comment and urged his viewers to direct anyone accusing him of being a zoophile to that post or the new video. Now, in the lengthy rant, Adam doubled down on every element of his existing framework. His core arguments remained unchanged.
Said that people shouldn't go to jail for having sex with animals, and then they leave out the part where I said, well, only if it's if there's literally no measurable harm or distress placed on the animal, which would make it.
The only noticeable shift was him being more defensive about his views. He repeatedly claimed critics were strawmanning his position simply because he was a furry and people wanted to smear furries by linking them to bestiality. He insisted that much of the backlash stemmed not from the content of his advocacy, but from personal dislike of his personality, his movie opinions, and his outspoken nature.
Pissed a group of people off enough that they're back to claiming that I have sex with animals again. Which only ever comes up if people are mad
at me about something completely unrelated.
Adam argued that people used his views on zoophilia as an excuse to attack him. He once again deflected genuine moral criticism by pointing to society's acceptance of the meat industry and horse racing, suggesting that critics lacked consistency in their outrage.
Because I didn't think I had to. I thought that just by saying, like, oh yeah, the meat industry, which everybody knows is fucking torture, and we don't need it, right? Aside from, like, a couple cases, maybe.
Toward the later part of the video, he again tried to connect his position to civil rights. He once again compared the current taboo around bestiality to past opposition to gay marriage in the 1950s, implying that shifting social acceptance would eventually prove him right.
It used to be completely moral to hang gay people, and now it's not. That's an evolution of our morals, right? So I think that even though I can say...
To any objective observer, the video comes across as evasive and increasingly detached from reality. Rather than addressing the serious ethical concerns about consent, power imbalances, and animal welfare, Adam spent most of the hour reframing criticism as unfair targeting or cultural misrepresentation. His persistent refusal to reconsider his stance only reinforced the growing perception that he was deeply committed to defending something most people found morally indefensible. This pattern of lengthy justifications and victim playing did little to repair his reputation. Instead, it only highlighted the depth of his fixation with bestiality. And as you'll learn later, he definitely had a disturbing fixation. Needless to say, Adam's lengthy defense did not go over well. The comments section under the 1-hour video was filled with negative reactions. Many longtime subscribers expressed disappointment, while others openly criticized his refusal to reconsider such disturbing views. The upload did little to quiet concerns, and in some cases, only amplified them. After a 2020 stream, Adam largely stopped discussing his zoophilia framework in public. For the next several years, he avoided the topic completely. Yet this wasn't really the redemption arc you expected. He offered no meaningful apology, no retraction, no sign of personal growth or changing thinking. Instead, he simply avoided the subject altogether. It seemed he hoped that silence and the passage of time would allow the controversy to fade from people's minds. The internet, however, does not forget. Adam's earlier advocacy continued to resurface whenever he faced public criticism for other reasons. It became a recurring footnote that critics brought up to highlight a broader pattern of poor judgment. A notable example occurred in 2024. An old 2016 short review Adam had made of the film Moonlight resurfaced amid accusations of racially coded language.
Is that it's not in any way some kind of pandering ghetto gangster flick that can't go 2 seconds without playing some R&B song. This is a genuine and personal film that is more about the experience of the main character than anything else.
As the discussion on forums and YouTube comments intensified, people inevitably revisited his past statements on bestiality and animal consent. Many pointed to these positions as further evidence of a consistent lack of sound moral reasoning over the years. What Adam likely intended as a quiet retreat from the topic instead became a lingering shadow. Without any genuine accountability, his earlier words remained easily accessible and ready to reemerge. The absence of reflection only strengthened the impression that he had not moved on, but had simply stopped talking about it in public. All this would finally culminate in Rob's Media featuring the topic in one of its popular Idiot Influencers episodes, uploading an entire video in September 2025 dedicated to Adam and his controversial defense of zoophilia. This episode marks a significant moment in our saga, because after nearly a decade of Adam's repeated public statements, a prominent YouTuber finally voiced what many considered the straightforward, common-sense reaction to his arguments. The video compiled clips of Adam's earlier streams and statements on the subject. Rob presented them not as thoughtful philosophical positions, but as part of a clear pattern of degenerate and twisted behavior. One particularly disturbing element Rob highlighted was Adam's bizarre obsession with Scar, the main villain from Disney's The Lion King.
What really ties us all together is Adam's bizarre obsession with Scar, the main villain of Disney's The Lion King.
Despite Adam's repeated claims that he was merely defending a philosophical perspective and was not really a zoophile, the evidence Rob dug up suggested otherwise. Rob pointed to commissions Adam had paid for, in which his own persona was depicted in, well, intimate, affectionate situations with an anthropomorphic version of Scar.
Caressing the cock of an anthropomorphic Scar. Even weirder are a full set of drawings he commissioned showing a non-bipedal scar.
Additional commissioned artwork went even further. For the sake of decency and platform guidelines, the details remain unlisted here, but they can be widely described as highly disturbing and gross. The episode struck a chord with many viewers who felt relieved that finally another big YouTuber called Adam out for his degeneracy. The release of this video turned simmering low-level discussions about Adam's past views into a full-blown public controversy. As the episode gained traction and went viral, renewed scrutiny poured in from across YouTube and Twitter. Adam wasn't at all happy about this and responded with a massive 5-part comment that stretched several thousand words. This was no calm clarification. Instead, he launched into a furious, unhinged attack on Rob's ethics and character. He accused Rob of deliberately timing the video to coincide with his attendance at a film festival, calling it a scummy and opportunistic move. Some might note that this claim was shaky at best. Unless Rob possessed advanced knowledge of Adam's schedule, the timing appeared to be pure coincidence. Adam went further, claiming Rob knowingly exploited his chronic wrist pain and intentionally tried to force him to injure himself while typing a response. He painted the entire video as a malicious, sensationalized hit piece full of deliberate lies. In the lengthy rebuttal, Adam also addressed the video point by point. He accused Rob of misrepresenting his review of the Prince of Egypt and once again repeated his familiar arguments about animal consent. But the most explosive part of his comment came near the end. In all caps, Adam launched a very serious accusation. He claimed Rob's media not only had an audience full of minors, but that Rob himself was actively grooming them. He alleged that Rob sent nudes to minors, directed underage viewers to... All of these accusations were thrown out based on the fact that Rob had mentioned the name of Adam's NSFW Twitter account and described some of the posts in the video.
Yes, these exist, and can be found on his Not Safe for Work Twitter accounts. This man jerks it to gay lion. It's all even weirder when you remember how many times Adam has stated that he's only attracted to furries.
Adam conveniently ignored important context. The video opened with a clear age warning, stating the content was not suitable for all audiences. This lengthy, angry comment did little to repair his image. If anything, it ironically reinforced the very pattern of defensiveness and poor judgment that Rob's video had highlighted. But this unhinged manifesto was just the beginning. The next day, he took the battle directly to his own turf, moving the fight out of Rob's comments section and onto his main feeds. He launched a multi-part statement across Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. Once again, he painted Rob as an all-knowing villain. He told his audience that Rob timed the hit piece maliciously. He claimed Rob dropped the video during his biggest work trip of the year to sabotage him. Then came the serious allegations. He claimed Rob used YouTube drama commentary to mask behavior. He offered zero evidence to back this up. But this time you can observe a shift in his strategy. He finally stopped defending zoophilia, at least on the surface. He addressed his past rants about the ethics of bestiality laws. He reframed those deeply disturbing statements as a mere byproduct of his youth. Critics did not buy the excuse. To them, his words sounded like a complaint about poor phrasing. He didn't admit the comments were gross and wrong. He just wished he had worded them better. Next came a bizarre call to action. He urged his followers to find his specific comment under Rob's video and upvote it. Rob had not deleted the comment. If the defense was justified, it would gain traction naturally. Weaponizing a fan base to boost an unhinged rant rarely keeps a case. The underlying motive quickly became clear when Adam claimed Rob's video explicitly violated YouTube's terms of service. In other words, he wanted his followers to mass report the video and force the platform to delete it. So a few hours after the post went live, we got to see the results as YouTube took Rob's video down. Adam was elated and took to Twitter to frame the takedown as total vindication. In his mind, the removal proved his grooming accusations were true. But his victory was short-lived. Rob responded the next day. He announced that his video was back online. He stated the takedown was the direct result of bad faith reporting. He explicitly tracked the automated removal back to the earlier call to action. Adam was visibly displeased. He returned to the video's comments section to launch another rant and promised that he would release a fitting reply. That materialized on September 17th. It was an hour-and-a-half-long video, and Adam again tried to portray himself as the victim. He claimed it was the target of a coordinated attack, but the defense backfired completely. In trying to clear his name, he ended up proving the original allegations entirely correct. He had previously blamed his past statements on poor phrasing. Yet during this stream, he defended the exact substance of his old philosophy. He essentially admitted that his counterattack was just a distraction tactic to get the heat off himself.
And yes, in that comment, I say this is behavior, and I call him out in all caps, and I do a little schizo right? I was ass mad because I was typing this.
He also doubled down on the disturbing rhetoric. He used a bizarre example of a dog humping a person's leg. He claimed this was proof that an animal could give consent. He followed this with a strange analogy about veterinarians and animal breeders. He claimed the only difference between a medical professional and someone engaging in abuse was a matter of intent. He concluded that the law should not jail people for what he called a thought crime.
Right, there'll be a clip of like, a woman fell down a hill, and then the dog just starts humping her. And so my response is the dog not consenting to some sort of sexual act by doing a sexual act on the human, right?
If Adam thought this video would help his case, it did the opposite. The unfolding drama caught the attention of the wider commentary community. Other creators began reporting on the situation. One of the first major rebuttals came from a YouTuber named Nicandros. Nicandros dismantled Adam's defense using the creator's own historical footage. He unearthed his old rant from his Silent Hill 2 stream. Nicandros used the clip as proof that these arguments were not just innocent philosophical explorations. It was an outright endorsement he had been pushing for over a decade. Nicandros also exposed a massive hypocrisy regarding the grooming claims. He highlighted a past watch-along stream for the movie Prey. During that live broadcast, Adam could be seen actively searching for illicit adult material on camera. He casually discussed a restricted website in front of a live audience.
If he genuinely believed that masses of minors were flowing to it, shouldn't he have done that? Adam clearly doesn't believe that this is a real issue. It's a total distraction. He did a bit in one of his videos where he shows himself going to a furry website and then describes some of the posts.
Predator pornography. I should look some up right now.
Nicandros turned the weaponized accusations back around. He labeled the behavior as pure projection. He noted that the creator regularly reviewed family films and therefore undoubtedly had minors in the audience. Once again, Adam deployed a multi-thousand-word essay directly into Nicandros' comments section. He relied heavily on familiar mental gymnastics. He first claimed he was heavily intoxicated when he made the statements. Then, in a dense word salad, he inadvertently proved he was still advocating for the behavior. Now, Nicandros actually took the time to systematically deconstruct the entire essay. He called Adam out for his severe irresponsibility, stating that intoxication was absolutely no excuse when influencing the minds of a massive young audience. He pointed out that Adam was not merely misinterpreted, he was actively lying about his past positions. Nicandros also rightly pointed out that Adam completely missed the root cause of the public's disgust. He stated bluntly that for most people, the issue extends far beyond animal welfare. It's about what the desire says about the individual. Nicandros noted that wanting to engage in such behavior is a sign of severe psychological distress, and the public was deeply concerned that it signaled potential danger in other aspects of his life. The entire interaction was an absolute disaster for Adam, but that wasn't the end of it. On October 22nd, Rob dropped a follow-up video titled YMS Crash Out. The content specifically broke down Adam's original unhinged comment from the very beginning of the feud. The video exposed the sheer desperation behind Adam's actions. Behind the scenes, Adam had been pleading with Rob to pin his comment and to grant it a creator's heart. He was begging for visibility from the creator while simultaneously organizing a public campaign to mass report and destroy Rob's channel.
Yet despite lying about me multiple times regarding this, he's whining about how I won't pin his lengthy essay under my video. Oh, and he wants me to heart it as well. Yeah, let me heart the comment where he slanders me as a g***er.
But the desperation went even further. Evidence revealed Adam had sent a follow to Rob's girlfriend on Instagram. The clear underlying implication was that he intended to slide into her direct messages to continue the erratic campaign.
But this wasn't the reason why I blocked him. I did so because he went as far as requesting to follow my girlfriend on Instagram, seemingly in order to send her a DM too. Buddy, she doesn't want to talk to you.
After that video, you finally have a definitive consensus forming across the internet. The broader online community widely viewed him as a degenerate. His unhinged habit of responding to every single critic backfired completely. The pattern itself became highly lucrative content for other creators to cash in on. A massive wave of commentary channels quickly joined the fray to expose his behavior. His YouTube career did not end entirely, and he continues to upload videos to this day. However, the reputational damage definitely did leave some injuries. His channel growth had stagnated, and his Patreon subscriber base had seen significantly better days. Adam Johnston attempted to mask his disturbing rhetoric behind a thin veil of intellectualism, but the internet eventually saw past the persona and responded in kind. The core flaw in his ongoing philosophical argument remains blindingly obvious. Holding an animal to the human standard of informed consent is entirely nonsensical. It's the logical equivalent of putting a wild crocodile on trial for hunting its prey. Because animals cannot comprehend or navigate the boundaries of human consent, any contact between a human and an animal is inherently non-consensual. It's animal abuse, plain and simple. He only disavowed his past rants when critics like Nicandros finally cornered him. Even then, the goalposts constantly shifted. He offered excuses instead of accountability. He weaponized bad faith accusations, attempting to frame his critics as to deflect from his own behavior. When that strategy failed, he abandoned the philosopher persona entirely and claimed it was all in the past. So what do you think about how this controversy unfolded? Drop a comment below with your thoughts on the investigation. If you want to see more deep dives into the internet's most disturbing content creators, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.